and welcome to Backyard Food Guide. What I'd like to do today is to compare the two fake spinaches that I've been growing in our garden, and that is the Perpetual Spinach, which is essentially a Swiss chard that is very mild and nice, and then also this New Zealand spinach, or also known as Malabar spinach. Here is the perpetual spinach that is growing in our garden. As you can see, the leaves are nice and big, and right next to it would be the New Zealand spinach that we have been growing. And as you can see, there are different tendrils that are starting to spread and creating a lot of nice greens for us. So both types of fake spinaches have been quite successful in our garden, and I think what's great about them is that unlike spinach, which can bolt in summer heat, both have actually done quite well throughout the summer. So the perpetual spinach and the New Zealand spinach are both very mild flavored and nice to eat. And while they're not exactly like spinach, there are some commonalities which would allow you to use them in your recipes, essentially as spinach. They are growing well in hot weather, and both have been disease resistant and relatively bug free. So that has been a huge advantage, and neither has bolted in hot weather. I think overall, in looking at the pictures and the crops that we have so far, the perpetual spinach is a little more fast growing, and because the leaves are so much bigger, we're actually getting more spinach, which is nice as well. So in terms of the perpetual, what we're seeing is sweet, plump leaves like this, relatively big. And then with the New Zealand spinach, more of a velvety, thick texture. So both are relatively plump and has a lot of water content, which is quite nice to bite into, even raw. And in terms of the perpetual, as I'd mentioned, it had grown a lot faster and is more substantial. So you're getting more spinach for your efforts. What is great is that both are actually very nutritious as well. So in terms of cooking, I have found neither to be very bitter. Some people are saying that for the perpetual spinach, you can, if you find eating it raw, if you find some bitter flavors to it, you can simply cook it and the bitterness tends to go away after that point. But for our garden at this point, I'm still harvesting what this would be a baby leaf essentially, and they've been very mild and sweet tasting, so not bitter at all. The New Zealand spinach has a little bit more of a hint of citrus to the leaves, which is a nice flavor, definitely not unpleasant. And the New Zealand spinach has very shallow roots, and as you can see in the pictures, it's actually starting to spread in the garden as well, which is nice to have. So in terms of nutrition, the perpetual spinach has vitamins K, vitamin C, vitamin A, magnesium, manganese, potassium, iron, and riboflavin. So lots of really good nutrients in there for you. And the New Zealand spinach is also full of vitamin K and vitamin C. What's interesting about the New Zealand spinach is that it has some omega-3 in it as well. So in addition to those, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. So in terms of nutrition, both are great, and I like the idea of having both in our garden so that we're getting a variety of different nutrients. So I do have videos on how to grow both, and I will provide a link to those in the description. I think if you are growing later in the season, then the perpetual spinach would be the one to grow because it will be a little more hardy and possibly even tolerate frost. I'm going to give that a test by planting more at this point. end of July, early August, whereas the New Zealand spinach will not tolerate frost very well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a like and subscribe. Thank you.